Good morning, this is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. We're covering a massive Nvidia bet on OpenAI, a big change in the OpenAI Microsoft deal, and a sharp turn in AI-powered cyber offense and defense. Orion's here with me, ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
First up, the money story. AI Insider, citing CNBC, says Nvidia has committed over $40 billion in equity deals so far in 2026, led by a roughly $30 billion stake in OpenAI. What's Nvidia really buying here?
Influence across the whole stack. A $30 billion stake isn't just financial upside, it's leverage, roadmap alignment, preferred access, ecosystem gravity. Nvidia wants to be the default compute layer for the most important model builders and the enterprise platforms that form around them.
Does this change the competitive picture for other chip players or even cloud providers?
Yes, it pressures rivals in two ways: capital and coordination. Competitors can match hardware, but it's harder to match strategic entanglement, and clouds don't love when a hardware supplier gains inside influence with the app and model layer. Everyone becomes a little more dependent.
$30 billion, my budgeting app just fainted. Any risk signals in this level of deal-making?
Concentration risk and regulatory attention. When one supplier is both the dominant GPU vendor and a major equity holder, regulators ask about tying, preference, and fair access. Also, as cycle cools, big strategic stakes get scrutinized fast.
Staying with OpenAI, Reuters reports OpenAI and Microsoft agreed to cap total revenue-sharing payments at $38 billion, per the information. And a source. What does a cap like that signal?
It signals OpenAI is negotiating more freedom without fully severing the Microsoft relationship. A capped payout limits Microsoft's long-tail upside from revenue share, and in return, OpenAI likely gets more flexibility to sell, partner, and route workloads beyond Azure where it makes sense.
So Microsoft is still central but less exclusive.
That's how it reads. Microsoft stays core infrastructure and go-to-market muscle, but OpenAI gets breathing room. Think multi-cloud, specialized hosting, or tailored deals with big buyers who want different procurement and security terms.
How should listeners interpret this alongside the broader AI is expensive reality?
It's a reminder the business model is still being shaped in real time. When compute costs are enormous, deal structure matters as much as model quality. Caps, floors, and revised splits are basically the new product roadmap.
On the cyber defense side, Silicon Republic reports that on May 12th, OpenAI unveiled Daybreak, an AI initiative to detect, validate, and help patch software vulnerabilities before attackers exploit them. What's new here versus normal security tooling?
The pitch is speed and end-to-end flow. Identify the bug, reproduce it, confirm exploitability, and assist with a patch using security agents. It's positioned as shifting security left, making software resilient by design, and it's being shared first with large organizations and partners.
OpenAI framed it partly as a response to powerful models like Anthropic's Claude Mythos. Is this an AI versus AI cybersecurity moment?
It's trending that way. Offense gets cheaper when models help find paths through code. Defense has to automate too: triage, proof of concept validation, patch suggestions. Otherwise, defenders drown in alerts while attackers scale output.
If a company wants Daybreak-like results today, what's the practical prerequisite?
Good software inventory and clean pipelines. If you can't map what you run and you can't ship patches safely, an AI assistant just finds problems faster than you can fix them. The unglamorous part, asset management and deployment hygiene, still wins.
Now the flip side. The Guardian reports Google said it disrupted a criminal group trying to use artificial intelligence to exploit a previously unknown software vulnerability, and warned that criminals and state-linked actors are scaling attacks with commercial models. What stood out to you?
Two things. First, they're describing AI moving from helpful assistant to force multiplier in real exploitation workflows. Second, the model access is commercial, meaning you don't need a secret lab to level up. That widens the threat base dramatically.
Google also flagged risks posed by powerful models, naming Anthropic's Claude Mythos. Is that just brand name gravity or a real policy signal?
It's a policy signal. Capabilities are getting good enough that vendors must think about controlled access, monitoring, and red teaming around cyber misuse. When mainstream models can refine exploit chains, it's no longer hypothetical. Everyone has to plan for it.
weeks. What should we watch for next? More disclosures like this or quieter changes?
Both. We'll see more public warnings, but also subtle shifts. Tighter API policies, higher friction access for certain tooling, and more partnerships with defenders. The big tell will be whether vendors publish measurable reduction in abuse, not just statements.
Over to global funding. Digitimes reports DeepSeek is in talks to raise up to 50 billion Chinese yuan, about 7.35 billion US dollars, in its first external funding round, potentially valuing it over 350 billion yuan, around 51.5 billion US dollars. Before we react, Orion, what is DeepSeek?
DeepSeek is a Chinese AI startup best known for frontier model work and highly optimized training and inference approaches. They've built a reputation for pushing performance with tight engineering, models, data, and systems, aimed at competing with top-tier labs, but with a distinctly China-based ecosystem and backing landscape.
Okay, now the news itself. If that valuation happens, what does it say about the AI capital race right now?
It says the capital race is geopolitical and supply chain aware. A $7+ billion raise at that scale implies investors believe the winners will be vertically integrated: models, infrastructure access, and distribution. It also signals confidence there's room for another top-tier lab outside the US giants.
Any constraints that could make that money harder to turn into capability?
Compute and components. Even with funding, GPU access, advanced packaging, and memory availability can bottleneck timelines. The check clears faster than the supply chain.
Let's sweep through a few fast-moving updates, starting with infrastructure.
Data Center Knowledge summarized a Center for a New American Security-linked analysis, warning AI infrastructure is hitting a wall: GPU supply, memory, packaging, and power. It also mentions stranded compute, meaning some capacity exists but isn't usable due to bottlenecks like networking, power, or the right chips.
On regulation, Colorado seems to be moving at warp speed. What's happening?
Nat Law Review says Colorado lawmakers rapidly passed a revised AI bill in early May, creating uncertainty around the state's earlier AI statute set for June 30th. And Colorado Politics reports XAI is signaling it may seek an injunction, which could block parts of the law if finalized.
Healthcare also had a notable oversight push. What did MACPAC recommend?
Healthcare Dive reports MACPAC called for more transparency and human oversight for Medicaid AI prior authorization, visibility into how decisions are made, and safeguards against errors and bias. It's a clear signal: automation doesn't remove accountability.
Two more: cyber model access in Europe and a strange U.S. government webpage disappearance.
CNBC says OpenAI will give vetted European Union cyber teams preview access to GPT 5.5 cyber, while Anthropic is still withholding Claude Mythos in the block. And Gizmodo notes the U.S. Commerce Department page describing AI vetting deals with Google, XAI, and Microsoft is now missing, raising transparency questions.
Last pass: data centers and enterprise adoption dollars.
Miami Times Online says Florida enacted a law requiring AI data centers to pay their own utilities, not shift costs to local customers. Pwins.com reports OpenAI launched a $4 billion OpenAI deployment company to accelerate enterprise integrations. And BNN Bloomberg says big tech is tapping debt markets to fund AI and cloud buildouts.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Share it with someone who'd find it useful. See you next time.